knows the world is not the same as it was.
Logan is reported to be the last outing for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, a role that he has owned and defined for the last 17 years. All signs point to this being the send-off that the character deserves, with trailers indicating a far more brutal, emotional and melancholy film than any of his big screen outings to date. In fact, it's so far removed from his previous exploits that there are a lot of questions hanging over where and how this fits into the series continuity. So we asked you, the View community, to send us your pressing queries, which you did. Thanks, and now I'm here to answer them as best I can.
We got ourselves an X-Men fan.
Our first question comes in from Will Turner, who's taken time out from his busy schedule fighting undead pirates to ask, is it confirmed that this is an alternate universe? Oh, what, you want more than that? Fine. Talk of Logan existing in an alternative universe has largely been driven by similarities to short comic series Old Man Logan, which is set in an alternative universe where Logan sheds his Wolverine persona after being fooled into killing his fellow X-Men. However, that story also relies on characters from the wider Marvel universe, and Fox doesn't have the rights to use any of them. How it actually fits into the X-Men timeline is complicated, especially as director and actor can't seem to quite agree. Hugh Jackman is quoted as saying, "It's a standalone movie in many ways. It's not really beholden to timelines and storylines in the other movies. Obviously, Patrick Stewart was in there, so we have some crossover, but it feels very different and very fresh." Meanwhile, James Mangold states that we are in the future, we have passed the point of the epilogue of Days of Future Past, which suggests that this is very much part of the existing timeline, or at least the one that was created when Logan helped to undo the mutant genocide in Days of Future Past. So yes, technically it's an alternative universe, but not an alternative to the alternative, if you catch my drift.
I need the girl. What girl?
Next up, we have Charlie Wilson, who asks, is X-23 the daughter of Wolverine, and where are the X-Men? To the uninitiated, X-23 is the codename given to the young girl in the trailers. At least it is in her previous incarnations across comics, cartoons, and video games. And while it's clear that's who Daphne Keane is portraying, especially when those iconic double claws are unsheathed, she has only been referred to as Laura to date. However, you can shave me bald and call me Charles if there isn't a reference to her Weapon X identity included in the film somewhere. Is she Logan's daughter? Well, yes and no. Laura is widely believed to be a clone of Logan, evidenced by Professor Xavier's line,
"She's like you, very much like you."
So yes, while Laura and Logan do share DNA, she isn't his offspring in the traditional sense.
Not okay.
The absence of other familiar X-faces hasn't been explained, although director James Mangold has stated that it's set in 2029, which would put it 5 years after the seemingly rosy ending of Days of Future Past. However, it looks like something has gone terribly wrong in those intervening years, which might explain why it looks like it would physically hurt everyone to crack a smile. Daryl Shaw asks, wasn't X-23 created by Mr. Sinister, and after the Easter egg in Apocalypse, is he going to appear? Bryan Singer had stated in an interview that the post-credit scene in X-Men Apocalypse teasing X-Men uber-villain Mr. Sinister, aka Nathaniel Essex, would tie directly into his appearance in Logan. However, director James Mangold has quashed that, saying that Sinister's brand of, quote, operatic, highly costumed, stroboscopic villainy would not be a good fit for Logan's grounded aesthetic. You are right in saying that Mr. Sinister's company Essex Corporation created X-23 in the comics, so while he might not appear in the film, he may at least receive a mention. Daniel Cunningham asks, why have they all got mouths on them like hairy dockers who have stubbed their toes?
She's 11, I'm 90.
Well, Daniel, you can thank Deadpool for that. When The Merc with a Mouth grossed $760 million for Fox, the studio realized that there was a market for mature superhero films. Not that Deadpool could be considered in any way mature, but, you know, blood and swearing and stuff was officially okay again.
Go play okie doke somewhere else.
So if you felt that previous Wolverine films felt neutered by their family-friendly age rating, director James Mangold has promised to make amends. Last year, he posted the second page of Logan's script to prove to fans that this is the Wolverine film they've been waiting for. In this flick, people will get hurt or killed when shit falls on them. They will get just as hurt or just as killed if they get hit with something big and heavy like, say, a car. No doubt they'll also swear like sailors just before dying horribly too. Matthew Boris Edson asks, how does he get his claws back? The simple answer is, he didn't lose them. Yes, he has his adamantium claws sliced off by the Silver Samurai in the Wolverine, only to have them replaced by bone claws, but once again, thanks to Logan's efforts to change the X-Men timeline back in the 70s, it's likely that the events of the Wolverine actually ceased to exist. But if somehow changing the course of history still led Logan to take an ill-advised trip to Japan, X-Men director Bryan Singer still has it covered. In an interview with Empire magazine, he claims that Magneto bonded adamantium back onto Wolverine's claws to give him a fighting chance against the Sentinels. In summary, just don't think too hard about it. And finally, Gary Steffens asks, why is he scarred and not healing? We've grown accustomed to Logan taking a terrible beating and emerging with nary a scratch, so when trailers reveal that his body is now a canvas painted with terrible scars, we were left wondering whether his healing factor had finally abandoned him. Not so, according to the script, which states that his healing factor is merely diminished and keeps him in a constant state of chronic pain. Cheery. When pushed further on this, James Mangold said, "We questioned whether Logan's healing factor causes him to heal without even a scar. We imagined that it may have when he was younger, but with age he's getting older and ailing. So we imagined he heals quickly, still, but it leaves a scar. The simple idea was that his body would start to get a little more ravaged with a kind of tattooing of past battles. So while Logan now has lasting reminders of every pasting he's received, he's still capable of taking significantly more punishment than your average Joe." Well, hopefully that's answered all of your pressing Logan queries without spoiling too much of the film, which you can pre-order tickets for right now at myview.com. Logan is released nationwide on the 1st of March, but there will be a special screening at View locations on the 28th of February at X23, 1023. Get it? So get booking those tickets now to avoid disappointment. Thanks for watching, thanks for your questions, and as ever, keep enjoying that beautiful big screen entertainment.
You know the drill. Get the hell out of here.